Yo, people, what we saying? It's your boy Muzi13 back with another one. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. You already know what it is. We are talking about the Arsenal Brighton game. This is the match preview, featuring the Christmas tree. Hope you guys enjoyed your Christmas as well. And yeah, let's get right into it. You guys already know what we do. I always give you guys some stats before we get into the preview. So here are some preview notes for you guys. The 18th match day in the Premier League. Arsenal played 26 games this season in all competitions: the Champions League, Premier League, the Carabao Cup. In the Premier League, our record is 12 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. So we're sitting on 39 points, plus 21 goal difference, which is second after City's 25, plus 25 goal difference. But we are also currently 2 points clear at the top of the league. Brighton are sitting ninth in the league on 24 points. They have a mixed record in Premier League this season: 6 wins, 6 draws, and 5 losses. And Arsenal actually have 16 clean sheets this season in all competitions, which is amazing. Only 10 goals conceded in the Premier League this season, which is crazy. And it's funny because it probably should be less, but, with a lot of injuries and whatnot in the defense, they've shipped out a few more goals since Gabriel went down injured. However, if we're looking at a head-to-head record in the Premier League between Brighton, it's actually very close. Brighton have been a bit of a bogey team for us. If we're looking at the last 5 games, though, Arsenal have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. We actually drew both games against Brighton last season, 1-1 at the Emirates and at the Emirates Stadium as well. But Arsenal are on good form going into this game, the last 4 games, especially after that Villa loss in the last minute. We have 4 wins in those 4 games, 3 wins in 90 minutes of football. So 3 wins, 1 was in the Champions League against Club Brugge, and 2 in the Premier League against Wolves and Everton, and then obviously the draw in the Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, and then we won in penalties. So 4 wins. And there's a possibility in Arsenal being second going into this game as City face Nottingham Forest early in the early kickoff between Arsenal and Man City. So between Arsenal play Brighton, so we just have to hope that Nottingham Forest can do something for us, maybe scam a draw or something. But yeah, let's get into just the Arsenal-Brighton game. This is going to be obviously a big game. Every game is going to be a big game for Arsenal. No point even saying it's going to be a big game because, with City breathing down your necks and looking like they're going to get some menu in January, you got to do what you got to do. Keep picking up your points, keep ticking off the games. And this game is just one short of the 19-game mark, which is halfway there in the season. And Arsenal are currently on track, if we win the next 2 games, to be on a 90-point pace in the Premier League. And I do believe if we get a 90-point pace, or if we get 90 points this season, I do think that'll be enough to win the league. So if we currently keep up the pace we're playing at, and we get the 2 wins in at the 19-game mark, and we're on a 45 points after 19 games, I do think that's 90-point pace. And I think, if we keep that up and we actually kick into gear and form, because I do think Arsenal still have some gears and levels to go up this season, then I think we'll win the league. And so, yeah, it's just going to be important now to start getting players back from injury and keeping players fit. Currently Hincapié picked up an injury against Everton, missed the Crystal Palace game. He might be back for this game. But even if he's back, I probably don't want to risk him. So I'll get into that predicted lineup in a bit. But obviously, we know Mascara's out till probably sometime in January. Ben White's out probably sometime in January. Havertz is back in training now, which is good. I do expect him to maybe not play this game, but he might even be on the bench. Or if not, he might be on the bench against Aston Villa. But I don't really see him featuring that much in these games. If anything, might come off the bench in that Villa game, get a few minutes towards the end, depending on how the game is going. But yeah, I think Arsenal just have to continue, on the form they've had since that Villa game, continue picking up results, get 3 points, and actually start showing, some nice consistency. One thing I did like in that Crystal Palace game in the Carabao Cup is that first half performance. Chef kiss. Absolutely amazing. She probably got into that first half, the halftime 3-4-0 up. The amount of chances we had, 2 minutes in, Madueke had a chance. Jesus had a few chances. We had a lot of opportunities that we should have killed that game off. Obviously, getting the goal late into the second half, but we need to be more clinical because, if we don't take our chances, something that could almost cost us against Wolves. But we got the last minute winner. Everton, we won that game 1-0 with the penalty, but we should have been 2-3-0 up. Trossard hit the post, Mendy hit the post. So these are opportunities we got to be put into bed, killing the game off. And I think that also puts less strain on the defense because then the midfield can just cruise through the game, keeping possession and whatnot, not having to strain ourselves. So I'm hoping to see some clinical edge in this game against Brighton at the Emirates, and I do think we'll actually see that. This season so far has kind of reminded me of the 23-24 season, where the first half of the season was a bit slow, but then second half we kicked off, having that amazing second half record. And funnily enough, if we have something similar, if we have that second half that we had in 23-24 season this season, I think that's done for the league. I think like it's wraps. Like I don't think City, this current iteration of City, will be able to keep up with that. Yeah, City are on good form, but their defense is still a bit shaky. Obviously, yeah, the last few games they've been keeping clean sheets, but prior to that, we saw that you can get at City. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach the second half of the season. Do they bring in a defender? It looks like they're going to be bringing in Semenyo, which is going to bolster their attack, which is already the best attack in the league. But how they're going to cope with their defense, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Maybe they're going for a defender. But I think, if we're getting back the likes of Gabriel, Mascara, Hincapié, Ben White, I do think that takes our defense back to the earlier levels we were seeing this season. And I do think we might even go on a similar run of just keeping a lot of clean sheets, which will propel us to get a lot of 3 points. If we're talking about the predicted lineup for this game, you guys already know I always put it either side. I'm going to do so as well. But in goal, you guys already know David Raya is going to be coming back into the sticks, between the sticks. Obviously, Kepa came in for the Carabao Cup game. Had a pretty good game. Distribution was on point. Wasn't really trouble in making any saves. And obviously saved that penalty in the shootout that took us to the next round. So good stuff from Kepa, but Raya's number 1 keeper, so he goes in. I do expect the defense to be exactly the same as what we saw against Crystal Palace, and that's also because of the injuries. So we can't really rotate. Maybe Hincapié might come back in, but if he has a slight injury, I'm not taking any chance to potentially get him out for a longer period because we're already suffering with injuries in the defense. So the defense for me is going to be Timber, Saliba, Calafiori, and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Obviously, Timber had a good game as well. Miles Lewis-Skelly was really good. I felt like we saw shades of his 24-25 season last season where he came in for the first time and he was amazing. I expect to see something similar, and he had a really good game against Crystal Palace. So I expect him to improve and continue showing that against Brighton as well. Saliba and Calafiori was an amazing partnership. They came up against someone like Mateta, who was one of the hardest strikers to deal with, and they dealt with it flawlessly. Like Mateta didn't really have a sniff. So Saliba and Calafiori, I would like to see that partnership for this game at least, and potentially against Villa, depending on how they do in this Brighton game. I feel like it's a calm and solid partnership, and that's what we need right now in Gabriel's absence. Midfield going to be Rice and Zubimeni, both rested against Crystal Palace. I expect them both to come back in. Formed a solid pivot this season, no complaints there. Odegaard is going to come back in at the 10. I feel like Eze had a good game against Crystal Palace, but I think Odegaard is needed for this game. And then right wing, Saka is going to come back in for Madueke. Madueke had a few opportunities against Crystal Palace. Probably should have scored at least one of them. Wasn't the most clinical, but I expect Saka to come back in. Trossard, who's been our best left winger, is going to come back in on the left wing for Martinelli. Actually, Martinelli had a really good game. Unfortunately, he picked up a knock. So depending on how he's feeling, Arteta might actually go with Martinelli as well. So we'll see. But if he has like a slight injury problem, I wouldn't risk him. I just play Trossard, who's been the best attacker for me this season. And Victor Gyökeres is going to start up top. He's just had a solid game against Crystal Palace, but he's still giving me those old Jesus vibes where everything up until the finishing is on point, snatching at shots, not really being cool, calm, and composed. So I expect Gyökeres to fill in. Obviously, he'll be G'd up, scored against Everton, our winning goal. That beautiful penalty just absolutely blasted it in. And he's playing against one of his old teams, so maybe he might have a point to prove as well. But yeah, that's my predicted lineup for this game. I do think that has more than what it takes to play and beat Brighton. And I think we're actually going to have a very good performance, and we're going to be more clinical this game. So my prediction, 3-1 Arsenal. I'm going to go for the front three all to score. Trossard, Saka, and Victor Gyökeres, all three going to get on the score sheet. And yeah, I think we're going to beat Brighton and go back to the top of the table if we're temporarily second, because obviously right now you expect City to beat Nottingham Forest, but Nottingham Forest always give a tricky game at the City ground or at the stadium. I forget what it's called. So it's going to be a tough game for City, but I'll still expect City to win. So we got to do our job and keep it moving, but I think we will. So yeah, it's been your boy Moose13. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about the match preview. Who would you guys start in your lineup as well? Just let me know. And yeah, it's been your boy. We out. I'm going to see you guys for the post-match. And yeah, take it easy. Peace.